So yeah, today's iRacing race at North Wilkesboro was the only real race to talk about this weekend, so I'm not going to be on here too long. So let's jump right into the race. So overall, the track graphics, like North Wilkesboro looked fucking beautiful today. That was a beautiful fucking rendering of North Wilkesboro. Maybe someday if someone got off their ass and put the money in, and put the time and effort in to put North Wilkesboro back to spec, maybe someday in the not too far distant future, we can get real racing back in North Wilkesboro. Please bring back North Wilkesboro, please. Someone fucking put money into it. Like, I swear, for North Wilkesboro, I think all of us as a community, we should all put money into a GoFundMe. All of us donate into it, and then we donate enough money to purchase North Wilkesboro and restore it back to its original beauty and up to spec with current NASCAR standards today, and bring NASCAR racing back to North Wilkesboro. We need to do that. We need to do it and bring the track back. NASCAR's just not the same without it. Honestly, NASCAR leaving North Wilkesboro, it was a mistake. It was a mistake, no doubt. Anyway, to the race itself. This week, the drunk Clint Bowyer was back this week. Probably drunk off his ass again, having his 8 to 10 beers and a shot of 5-hour energy. And of course, Jeff Gordon was back today in the 24, running a throwback scheme to his 96 North Wilkesboro win to the Rainbow Warrior car. As it was just another desperate ploy for Fox to get ratings during this. But fuck it, who cares? Jeffy G is once again back in the fucking building. But anyway, to this race though, it was sort of a different race. Because none of the Hendrick cars were in it. Chase Elliott, William Byron, Jimmy Johnson, and Alex Bowman all chose to fuck off and take the day off. They are all focused on next week at Darlington for real racing. Honestly, I don't blame any of Hendrick for not wanting to compete in this race. This race was it's a meaningless exhibition race, not even a real race. Honestly, don't even bother, don't get your emotions, don't get worked up over it. Just relax, enjoy time with your family, and focus on next week at Darlington. So yeah, for the rest of the field, for all the other peasant bottom feeder teams, here was your chance to get yourself a meaningless win. So yeah, this race overall, number of crashes, a lot of them. Clint Bowyer, of course, crashed a number of times. Yep, we don't even need to discuss that any further. Clint Bowyer was definitely drunk off his ass. Again. Yep, Clint Bowyer, the drunkie. There we go. Let's just hope Clint Bowyer isn't drinking next week at Darlington, because that would be really bad if it wasn't a real race car. But yeah, there are a lot of comers and goers in this race. Like, the start of the race, Priest dominated. Then Chastain took over. Timmy Hill was up there most of the race. At the end, near the end, it looked like Christopher Bell was going to have it. And then Christopher Bell blew it again. Tough break for Christopher. But Christopher Bell, he could get a win before Custer and Tyler Reddick, the Ginger, does. He could get a win before both of them. So there's some positive there with Chris Bell. So yeah. You know, it looked like when Chastain looked like he had it, Denny Hamlin came in, did the bump and run on Chastain, moved him out of the way. Hey, I got no problem with the bump and run, especially in a meaningless race. Like, if anyone wants to complain about it, here's the question. Did Chastain crash from Hamlin moving him out of the way? If no, then what is the problem? And it's an exhibition race. Don't get your fucking emotions too worked up, folks. So yeah, Hamlin took the lead, and then Hamlin never looked back. Timmy Hill couldn't make a run at him. And Denny Hamlin wins at North Wilkesboro. Only fitting that NASCAR iRacing ends the way it began. With Hamlin winning. So yeah, Hamlin gets another meaningless win. I don't care. I feel nothing. But here's the good news, folks. Next Sunday, Darlington. Real racing is back. No fans in attendance, but hell, it's back now. As a lot of sports leagues are looking to now reopen now. As it looks like the curve for COVID-19 has flattened. And we also found out that 3 tracks will also be losing their dates this year. As Spring Richmond, Sonoma, and Chatoyotland have all lost their dates for 2020. So NASCAR will not be going to Sonoma or Chicago. Honestly, I'm glad they're not going to Chicago. That place is a shithole, to be honest. And that track looks like crap anyway. Who the fuck curves their back straight away? But yeah. As all 3 of those dates were canceled to make room for all the dates at Darlington and Charlotte this month. As next Sunday, we begin a span of 7 races in 11 days. And it's a marathon. And oh yeah, for Darlington, in case anybody's wondering, practice and qualifying for Darlington is canceled. There will be no practice or qualifying. It's just the race. 1-day event only. And yeah, if you're wondering how the starting lineup will be determined, it'll be determined by owner points. Because in the event that we have no practice or qualifying, the starting lineup will then be determined by owner points. So if anyone's wondering, next week's pole sitter is Kevin Harvick. The front row will be Kevin Harvick and Joey Logano. And in case you're wondering about Kenseth and Newman, Kenseth should be starting 7th because the 42 car for Chip Ganassi was 7th in owner points. And Ryan Newman should be starting 20th because the 6th car was 20th in owner points. And oh, by the way, when I was checking the points real quick to check, maybe I was checking the owner points, so I decided to check the drivers too. Here's the crazy thing to all this for Ryan Newman. Despite Newman crashing out and missing 3 races, Newman is still in the top 30 in points. He's 29th entering Darlington. So yeah, Newman hasn't even come back yet, and he's already checked off 1 of the 2 boxes he needed to make the chase. Now all Newman has to do is win a race. And Kenseth, he's still got to make the top 30 and win a race for Kenseth to make the chase. Since Kenseth and Newman got chase waivers, so they're still eligible for the chase. So, yeah. And honestly, though, I don't think Newman I honestly think Newman will not make the chase on points. Only way Newman will make the chase this year is by winning a race. And I'll say right now, if there's any driver in this field that can pull a win out of their ass, it's Newman. Newman is a goddamn master at pulling undeserving wins out of his ass. So yeah. That's where I think. I honestly think Newman has a better chance over Kenseth to make the chase, considering that Kenseth hasn't been in a cup car since 2018, like I mentioned before. So yeah. Man, it would be a bit of a storyline too if Newman all of a sudden shockingly won Darlington in his first race back. In the same weekend that NASCAR comes back after being on almost a 2-month hiatus from COVID-19. That would be something. That would be a moment in NASCAR that we will remember for 20, 30 years from now. But yeah, NASCAR has also announced that all crew members must wear face masks at the track too. And still abide by the social distancing guidelines and all the COVID-19 guidelines. And that any crew members that do not obey the COVID-19 guidelines and all that shit, those said crew members will be fined anywhere from around $25,000 to $100,000. So it seems NASCAR ain't playing around with this shit. But yeah. So yeah, Darlington, I think Darlington's gonna be an interesting race, for sure. With no practice time and no qualifying, the only time the cars will be on track for the first time would be during the race. So, there's going to be a lot of different strategy. There's going to be a lot of comers and goers in this race. Because a lot of teams are going to be making adjustments on the fly. And quickly adapting to the track. So, the lack of practice and qualifying is going to really play a factor in this race. This race definitely could play a landmark be on par with the 1979 Daytona 500 if this race doesn't become a fucking disaster. Because remember, 1979 Daytona 500, everybody was snowed in for that race. And then that 79 Daytona 500 was aired on CBS the first time The first time a NASCAR race was broadcast live on television, flag to flag, lap by lap. So yeah, if everything goes right, Darlington could play a moment, because right now with where the sport is, NASCAR needs that landmark moment. That moment that puts NASCAR back on the map. A moment that all us NASCAR fans can reflect back on 20, 30 years from now and say, yo, do you remember? Yeah, and where we can all tell our grandkids, and our grandkids can then ask us, yo, Grandpa, where were you the day that NASCAR came back on May 17, 2020 at Darlington? When NASCAR came back from COVID-19? NASCAR, we need that kind of moment that we can tell our grandchildren one day, 20, 30 years from now. Because, keep in mind, the finish in the 1979 Daytona 500 with Petty winning, Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison crashing on the last lap and then fighting after the race. You know, that's a moment NASCAR fans still talk about to this day, over 40 years later. Fans still talk about that moment. A lot of fans still have that as the greatest moment in NASCAR history. It's up there for greatest moment in NASCAR history. So yeah, next Sunday at Darlington, NASCAR needs to have that moment. Needs to have something like that. If NASCAR can have a moment like that next Sunday, then the return is a success. You know what? But let's keep our fingers crossed. You know, this could end well, it also could end badly. So yeah, gonna be very interesting. But hey, we're finally getting real racing back. And if it goes right, NASCAR could get a really good jump in the ratings to get right back up. Since a lot of sports are shut down, so this is NASCAR's chance really to show that they're improving. That they're really making the right steps forward to get the sport back to where it was before Brian France ran it into the ground. But yeah, anyway, that's going to wrap it up here for this review. So, yeah, Darlington next week. Can't wait to see real racing back. Fuck. Just can't wait for it, man. 8 more days. The Dale Jr. days. But yeah, anyway, that's all I got to say, folks. Hope everyone's a great day, and yeah, peace out.